Okay, so welcome everyone. Good afternoon. We are going to begin our webinar. Thank you very much for attending. My name is Katrin Dwir. I'm a recruiter at AWS, and I have contacted you to take part in this event today. So thank you very much for being with us. So this is a career at AWS type of event where we are going to talk to you about our plans, our expansion plans and business plans in the region. And then we are going to look at a typical day of a solutions architect at AWS, and this is going to be delivered by our one and only principal solutions architect. And then we are going to specifically look at career opportunities at AWS in the solutions architecture space. And we are going to talk about the recruitment process for this role. So please stay with us. Hope you're going to enjoy it. And over to our business leader, Przemek Szuder.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Przemek. I'm responsible for the commercial sector of AWS in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm fairly new to AWS, joined in March, so kind of very familiar with the type of questions that might be today in your head related to how it is to be part of AWS organization and so on. I would like to provide you a short overview of our strategy and our presence in Central and Eastern Europe. So first of all, apologies because the map is not 100% correct. So CEE is for us 17 countries, starting with Poland in the north, down to Cyprus, Malta, and Greece in the south. However, excluding Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia, which are here colored in the blue on the slide. As you know very well, Central Eastern Europe is very famous for the technical talent, very large development population. So it's not a surprise that AWS is and really started the strong presence with 3 development sites. We have the 1 development site in Poland, in Gdańsk, and 2 in Romania, 1 in Bucharest and 1 in Iași. And this is really how we started. At the same time, we are constantly expanding our commercial operations and the customer teams that we have across the markets. This is why we organized the webinar today. We have several open positions. We will be talking about this later on across the roles, both in sales and solution architecture, technical account manager, and partner teams. So we are growing and expanding very, very heavily, as is the demand for AWS services across CE. And to put that into perspective, already today we have tens of thousands of commercial customers in the Central and Eastern Europe region. We also have a very large and vibrant partner community, over 800 partners, growing also very fast, and our partner channel consists both of what we call the consulting partners, so those partners that are more focused on the managed services and consulting hours, but also the technology partners, so different software houses, independent software vendors that design their own IP and package this more as a packaged applications, both in the consumer and the B2B business. We are, of course, also very committed to the cloud skills development. You may have seen in the several markets our awesome days, user group meetups. We are attracting thousands of participants to both in-person and online events, and we will continue to scale that. And finally, in April, we have also opened the Global Competency Center here in Warsaw. And we are hiring for the team. We are hiring consultants that will be working across EMEA on the AWS platform deployment, with the particular focus on the projects in machine learning, AI, and IoT. So that's really the short overview of who we are, and that's it from my side in the introduction.
Okay, hi guys. So my name is Tomasz Stachlewski, and I will be the person today who will probably spend the most time of yours. I'm working as a solution architect at AWS, and for me, it's more than 4 years now at AWS. So I guess like most of you will agree that in IT space, 4 years in one company is definitely above the average. So what I will want to tell you during this, next 30 minutes about why, I'm, 4 years at AWS, how everything started, and how does it look like now. And I was thinking quite a lot about, how to, spend this 30 minutes and be able to answer all possible questions which you might have regarding how does, SA work look like at AWS. And at the end, I decided to do something special. And in short, I decided to tell you about my journey in AWS, how it started 4 years ago, how it was at the beginning, how was it in the middle, and how it is now. I strongly believe that during this story, I will be able to answer about 80% of the possible questions which you might have. So although this will be quite personal, I strongly recommend to listen to it because it will, this will answer a lot of your questions. So this is the animation, the slide which I made. I spent quite a lot of time on it, so I hope you will enjoy it. So in short, it described, like I said, my story at AWS. So like I said, everything started 4 years ago and before I joined AWS. So before this, I was working for a couple of different companies like Accenture, IBM, lot Polish Airlines, working on different things with different technologies. I was a developer, then I was a solution architect. And one day, AWS approached me and asked if maybe I would be interested in joining AWS. What is important is that at that moment, I didn't know a lot about AWS. My previous employer was, using AWS for some of their projects, but my knowledge regarding AWS was quite limited. And again, this might be quite a good tip for you that, AWS knowledge is not required. If you know AWS, if you already played with this, if you have got some certifications, it's great. It's always a benefit, but this is not requirement. What we are looking for, who are we looking for, is a specialist with a broad IT knowledge, not necessarily about AWS. We believe that if we are talking with our clients and we are saying that, dear client, you will be able to learn what is the cloud, you will be able to build application systems on AWS, we can also teach the same to our employees. So first thing to remember, previous AWS knowledge is not required. So like I said, I was approached by AWS and, asked, if I would like to join AWS. And there was this recruitment. And in my career, I used to, participate in multiple different interviews and so on. And I have to say that the interviews at AWS are quite special. And Catherine will be talking about this a lot at the end of this session. But in short, for me, this was special because there were a couple of different phases, like phone screen interview with the, IT specialist to check if my IT knowledge is sufficient good enough. And then what is especially interesting, there was something which is called a loop, an on-site interview. So in short, I was invited to Amazon office. Then that time this was Luxembourg for a full day interview. So I had about 6 interviews with 6 different people, 1 hour with each person, and to validate if I will be a good fit to AWS. What is important is that very often people who we invite to our interviews are great. They have got great IT skills, they have got great sales skills, but still maybe AWS is not for them, because we are looking for people with, I would simplify this a bit with 2 things. One thing is the right IT skills, so quite broad IT knowledge, but secondly, people who will fit our culture, which is obsessed about the customer, which is bias for action, which is a big thing, and so on. So this culture fit. So to make sure that the person will like our culture, will like how we work is also quite important. So this interview, this 6-hour interviews, I remember that when I finished this, I went back to Poland from Luxembourg. I was so tired. I never felt so tired in my life, but I also was really happy because this was something completely else. And as you can imagine, the result was good. I was accepted to AWS, and I started working at AWS. And also, which might be something a lot of you are wondering, is about how does the beginning at AWS looks like? Because AWS, for those of you who don't know, has got currently about 160 different services. Those are IoT, artificial intelligence, big data, web design, development tools, mobile, almost everything. So you join AWS, you see our 160 different solutions, services, and sometimes you don't know where to start. Should I know everything? Should I where should I start to be able to to do my work? So first 3 months looks like usually like this, that the person just learns. And he is using the standard documentation, he's checking our wiki documentation, and he's just learning some of the stuff which we believe are basic, and a lot of the customers are asking for this. So for example, analytics, maybe artificial intelligence, and so on. And of course, with the progress of time, the person will get knowledge about also other things. So we don't expect that after 3 months the person will know 160 services. Now for me, after 4 years, I know about 150, let's say like this. I'm able to have a conversation on a level 200 on all of those, but only on some of those I will be able to have conversation and deep dive. What is also important is that during this first phase, we try to coach each other. So very often there is somebody who is called a buddy. A buddy is a person, a colleague, which is usually the same job, like a say in this case, who will give guidelines. He will invite this new person to the meetings, to the workshop, so this person could see how does we do our job. Okay, so this was the beginning. The next steps was the first, client interactions. And also very often people are asking, okay, so what does SA, so a solution architect, do at AWS? It's important to know that we are not building solutions for the client. We are not doing this. We won't build a solution. We will give them guidelines. We will coach them. We will maybe do some workshop. We will help them to learn what is AWS. And this is our objective. We don't have, our goals doesn't include, selling stuff. Our objective is, sharing knowledge about AWS, about the cloud to everybody. So, the first interactions with the clients, first workshops, first, clients, first calls, and so on. Then after a while, first conferences. And this is quite important at AWS. In short, we believe that we should, scale. And by scaling, we mean our experience from our interactions with the clients. We should, talk about this during the conferences, during, maybe some kind of meetups and so on. So if we have got a cool story, a cool case, we of course we won't share, the names of the customer, but we will share with the other people about, how to do this thing in the cloud. Maybe how to spin up, a Hadoop cluster in the cloud. Maybe how to analyze a lot of data in the cloud. How to spin up a Kubernetes cluster. But we want to share this knowledge. And there is, of course, a lot of different ways how we can, share this knowledge. One of the ways is conferences. I remember for me, when I went for the first conference about 3 years ago, of course, it was quite stressful situation for me. Now I'm doing, almost every week a conference for multiple people, and this is just a part of my job. So we believe that SA is not only about, talking with the clients, but also about sharing his knowledge, expertise. Those could be, conferences, but not only. So of course, not everybody likes to be on the stage. So maybe some people will prefer to write some kind of blog posts, which will be published on our official blog. Maybe they will prefer to record a webinar or something like this. But we want to scale. We want to share our knowledge with other people. So what next? So, certification and growth. Some of you may know that AWS has got about 10 different certifications. They are like for architects, like development, like analytics, and so on. So in short, we believe that SAs should be certified. So in usual, we believe that in the first year, a solution architect will be able to be certified in a professional, level, and we will help them. So very often, and also this be quite interesting for you, I would say that we spend about 20% of our time on learning, because AWS is growing all the time. Every day there's something new, so we need to be up to date. So about 20% of our time is about learning. Some people, some SAs will just book, a Friday, and they are saying Friday is the time for me to learn. Some people will, book 2 hours every morning to do it. So it's up to you. It's up to SA, but having time to learn is very important, because it will help to get certified, and it will help to grow. So another thing which is quite important is specialization. So I said before that we have got 160 different services, and it's not impossible to be an expert in all of those. So, like I said, we will be able to have a conversation on level 100, 200 on almost all of those, but only in some of them we will have got, skills to have a conversation on a, deep dive conversation. So each of us, usually after 1 year, maybe sooner, maybe later, finds a topic which he likes. Maybe this will be a containers, maybe this will be a big data, maybe something else. And then he decides, okay, I want to be an expert in this area. I want to help others, on having this deep dive conversation problems. And then, it's about, finding this area of expertise. And very often we find one, maybe two, maybe sometimes even more, this kind of areas. And this is also quite interesting, because it helps us to grow. Okay, so what next? Global impact. So you can see that at the beginning, very often we're working with local clients, maybe in the same country, maybe in the same region like CE, but then because we specialize, we became a subject matter expert. So very often, for example, when we have got a essay which is saying, okay, I'm an expert in maybe Kubernetes, then whenever there's a client from a different part of the world, he will also be able to contact with this essay, and this essay, because he has got the right skills, will help them. In my example, I'm a essay who specializes in Poly. Poly is a text-to-speech service from AWS. So for example, when clients from Canada, from Australia, or from whatever country, they need to have a deep dive help, expertise, they will reach to me through a local essays. So this is about, having a global impact in other regions. Another thing, big thing, think big. So we have got, Amazon has got 14 leadership principles. So those are rules thanks to which, we are working. We are obsessed on the customer. We want, to do our work in a proper, good way. One of those is think big. When you have got an idea, think about this. If it's small, make it bigger and make it live. So in my example, from my personal experience, this was about 2 years ago. So I thought about, I want to make something bigger. So in my case, this was, I created a plugin for WordPress, which allowed people, to convert, their posts into audio, to convert it to different languages, to create quickly podcasts, and so on. And this became really big. People around the world started to use this. There were like a blog posts and so on. So having impact, global impact, thinking big is really important. AWS is a startup. We work like a startup. If you have got an idea which will help customers, which will help the company, just do it, because it's about, it's like being in AWS. So promotion. So of course, everybody are asking, okay, so what is my future at Amazon? I guess, Sasha at the end will also be talking about this, but in short, it's up to you how you will manage your way at Amazon. Some of the people, their way to get promotion, to grow is about specialization. They start as a standard SA, solution architect, and then they become a specialist. Sometimes they want to be promoted, so if they have a global impact, if they are thinking also about other things, they will also get promoted, and they can be a team leads and so on. So it's up to you how you manage your life at AWS. We don't have, we are quite flat structure. We don't have 10 levels of management. We don't believe in this. We work like a startup. So if you have got an idea, if you want to change the world, it's up to you, and just do it. So, how does a typical day of SA looks like? There's no a typical day, because every day is just different. So I will tell you more or less how a typical week of SA looks like. So I divided this into a couple of different categories, to measure the time. I thought that this may be the most important for you. So I would say about 50–60% of the time is about helping the clients, maybe in the country, maybe in the region, and so on. We are working closely with account managers, so those are the sales part of our company, and we are working with them, with the clients, local clients, to on different kinds of workshops, on the meetings, calls, and so on. We will help our clients to to design, to validate if the cloud is the proper way, and if it's the proper way, how to use it in a good way. So what next? It's about the subject matter expert topics. Like I said, we specialized. I will be a specialist in some kind of services, and then I will use my knowledge also to help companies, clients around the world. Conferences, public workshops, content creation, blog posts. Like I said, we need to scale. So about 20% of the time of our time is about, participating in the conferences, maybe writing blog posts, or maybe recording webinars. It's up to you. If you have got idea how you can, share your expertise, just do it. It's about self-enablement, so learning about 20% of the time, and of course some other things, maybe recruitment, maybe some other things. Okay, guys, so I wanted to do in my part also one more thing. We still have got some time, so I wanted to show you a demo which I built for a client in Poland. Of course, I'm not able to share you the name of the company, but in short, this was a media company which had a couple of requirements. So the first requirement was that they wanted to build a system which would allow them to quickly browse through tens of thousands of images which they collected in the last 20 years. So second requirement was that they wanted to search for specific images based on names of celebrities in those pictures and objects on them. They didn't want to do any manual work. It should be fast and simple, and they were not IT company. They were focusing on the business, and they just couldn't, spend now days, weeks on doing a system which maybe at the end they won't use. So those were the requirements, and they approached to us, and they first of all they asked, can you help us? Have you got some services which will make it easier? And secondly, if yes, how to do it? So to be honest, I heard about those requirements, and I thought this sounds like a really cool proof of concept, and I will be happy to do it. I knew that I'm not able to build a solution for the customer because I just can't spend weeks on this. But also I knew that with some services of AWS, it will be really easy to build a small proof of concept to validate if it's possible and if they will like the solution. And in short, I did it. So I spent a couple of hours. It took about 3–4 hours to build the solution. And I will show you this, but first of all, I want to show you, the design. Some of you may know AWS, some of you may not know AWS. So in short, I will describe you what are those components. So one component, S3. this is a storage. I decided that the customer will put their images on this storage object. Then whenever he will upload an image, a Lambda function, which is a microservice, will be executed. This is a piece of code which will be executed whenever a new image will be uploaded. And then what this microservice will do, it will spin up a workflow, a step function workflow. In short, this will be a workflow of things which need to be done to analyze the image. First, Lambda, again, a microservice, will use a DynamoDB. DynamoDB is NoSQL database to just save information about we are analyzing something. The second step will be about using Amazon Recognition. Amazon Recognition is our AI service, which in this case was analyzing the image which was uploaded to S3 to detect what kind of objects are on the picture. The next step, let's analyze again using Amazon Recognition, but let's detect what kind of celebrities are on the picture. Maybe there is a Brad Pitt, maybe there is a local celebrity. We want to know who's there. And the last part, again, Lambda function was about let's put those information about the picture and what is on the picture to Elasticsearch. So as you can see, 90% of this solution was serverless. Like I said, I had just 3 hours. I knew that it needs to be fast, quick, and cheap, to be honest. So okay, so I built it. I will show you this in a couple of seconds. But from the end user perspective, it should work like this: that we have got end user, and there is a website. I didn't put this on the diagram, but there is a website. In short, this website will use AWS Lambda and will look in Elasticsearch for images on which their specific objects or celebrities are in. Based on this, then we'll connect to DynamoDB, we'll look for the image, and then we'll just provide to this user images on which those objects or celebrities are on. Okay, so let's see how it will look in real life. So 5-10 minutes demo, guys, and then I'm done. So this is AWS console. Some of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not be familiar. This is one of the ways how we can interact with AWS service cloud. So 160 different services. So this is the thing which I was describing, a lot of those. And this is the most interesting part about AWS, because you can play with a lot of different things. Okay, so what I did here, I was using S3 service, I was using DynamoDB, I was using step function, I was using recognition, but I will skip this, and I was using Lambda. So let's go first to S3. So S3, I have got 2 buckets. The first one, company image collection, is the place where I wanted to upload images. And based on this, everything else will be happening. As you can see now, I don't have any images because I removed everything to show you how does it look like. I have got one more bucket. On this bucket, I have got my website. I'm not a developer, so please forgive me. The website is quite simple. In short, I can write something like, for example, dog. I can search for this, and I won't see anything because the database is empty. But after we'll test it, I should be able to look for the images on which there are dogs. Okay, I have got a couple of different Lambda functions. You saw on the diagram that I have got a couple of those. For example, like this one, add image to database. This Lambda function, just 20 lines of codes, maybe 30, will connect to the database, to DynamoDB, and will add their item that I'm converting something. Let's see one more, maybe detect celebrity. So this one, as you can imagine, it will connect to the recognition. So another Lego block, another servers from AWS. It will tell it, I have got a picture in the S3 bucket. Please detect me who is on the picture, what kind of celebrities. So those are those Lambda functions. We won't spend more time on this. And here in step function, I have got my workflow. Currently there is nothing because it's just empty. You will see exactly how does it work in a couple of seconds. And the last part, DynamoDB. I have spin up a NoSQL database, serverless, it took me 5 seconds, and there is nothing because everything is empty. Okay, so guys, let's see if it works. So I will just upload an image here. So I will upload one image from my local disk. So I'm uploading a picture. You will see this in a couple of seconds. It's taking a couple of seconds. So 60, 70, 100%. Okay, I have got a picture, my dog. So now if everything was working fine, if I will refresh step function, I should see a record. And I see that something is happening. You see the workflow, add image to the database, detect labels, detect celebrity. Currently it's working on this step, but it already went through the database. Oh, now everything is done. Let's see if it's actually working. Let's go to the database. Let's refresh it. Yes, I have got an information that I have uploaded my dog picture, and there is a link to this picture. Let's see if it's actually working. This is my link to my picture. Let's open it. So this is the picture which I uploaded. This is my dog, my French bulldog. And let's see if now I will be able to look for the dog through my website. Let's look for it again. And it's working. I have got a dog. Cool. Let's see again in the step function. So this step added information to the database. This step detected, it was saying the input of this step was information. You have got a new picture, and the output was the labels which were recognized by the recognition. So for example, there was a bulldog, and yes, that's correct. This dog is a bulldog. So am I able to look for the bulldog? Yes, this is it. Am I able to look for the cat? Not really, because this is not a cat. And what about the celebrity? No celebrities, because this is my dog, so not a celebrity. Cool, so it's working fine. Let's try again, 2 more examples like this. Let's add another picture. This will be a picture from a famous Polish movie. So for people who are not from Poland, please forgive me that maybe you won't recognize it. So the picture is this, chłopaki nie płaczą. Let's see if our step function was executed. Yes, it's running. Let's see what is happening. It's still working. It's a bit bigger picture, so let's wait a couple of seconds. Still working. Okay, it added this information to the database. Let's see in the database. Yes, I have got a new link. Let's see what kind of picture is it. So this is a picture from Chłopaki nie płaczą, a couple of celebrities from Poland. Okay, everything is working fine. So let's now look for a person, maybe. I don't know if it will work. Okay, it's working. So those people there on this picture are Polish actors. So for example, there is somebody whose name is Pazura. And again, we are able to look for it. So let's do dog. Let's look for Pazura. And again, so you see that it's working fine. So in the text celebrity in the output, the cloud properly recognized that there is Olaf Lubashenko, there's Cezary Pazura, and so on. Okay, 2 more examples, guys. Let's upload now some 2 new pictures, but this time actors from USA. So 2 pictures, actor 1, actor 2. And let's see if it will work. So I see now that there are 2 new executions, for 2 pictures. It will again take a couple of seconds. I'm going with this somewhere, so please, stay with me. 1 is already okay. The second one is still working. Let's wait a couple of more seconds. Okay, done. So let's see if who is there. I know who's there, so I will just look for it. So let's look for Brad Pitt. So I have got two pictures with Brad Pitt, but let's imagine that we are this company and we are writing a newspaper and we want to have a picture with Brad Pitt and Leonardo. So then, of course, there's only one picture with two of those persons. So you see that it's working. Okay, last thing is I wanted to go big, because we were uploading here, like a couple of pictures, but the customer, you remember, he said, I've got tens of thousands of pictures. So what I also prepared, I prepared a folder where I have got 1,000 of pictures. And what I will want to do now, I will want to upload those pictures to S3 and to see if everything will work fine. So guys, just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm in the folder where I have got those 1,000 pictures. And now I will just execute a command which will copy it to my bucket. So this is just a small command from AWS. It will just copy everything from this bucket everything from this folder to bucket. And you see it's working. Now I'm uploading 1,000 of different pictures to S3. If I will go to S3 now, if I will refresh it, you will see that now new pictures are happening. So there will be about 1,000 of those in a couple of seconds. So let's see a step function if something is happening there. So you see, a lot of new executions are happening. Let's see the database. Let's refresh it. New information about new pictures, a lot of new pictures and a lot of new execution. So let's see where are we with our executions. So currently 955 of those were already okay, 0 failed, 45 are still working. Let's see now, okay, we're almost done there. So let's see if it's working. Let's look again for pictures which have got a dog on it. A lot of more of those. Maybe let's look for a car. Okay, I have got a lot of cars. Maybe a picture which also have got a tree on it. Okay, yes, a car, a tree behind of those, everything is working fine. Maybe let's do it in a different way. Let's look what kind of pictures I've uploaded. Maybe like this, maybe house. I guess this is a house, so let's look for the house. And a lot of houses. Oh, and this one is the one which I showed you here. So you see that, it's working everything. I spent 3-4 hours because I was just, connecting different cool services from AWS, and, it worked. And if we're not using this, we're not paying for this. It's really cool, almost 100 serverless based service. Okay, guys, so from my side, this is all. I hope you enjoyed and you liked the demo and my story at AWS. So now I give the voice to Sasha. Sasha, the floor is yours.
Hello, guys. Thank you, Tomasz. It was a great demo. So my name is Alexander Ложечкин. I lead a team of solution architects here in the region, and people call me Sasha, so please don't be confused. A short intro of myself. On the next slide, I also joined AWS quite recently, like Przemek. It's slightly more than eight months ago. I'm based in Munich, and this is pretty much it. And I was on the other side of this conversation just 1 year ago when AWS actually Katrin approached me and proposed me to think about joining AWS. And the more I started having conversations with people from AWS, the more I started to be interested in that. And I can tell you, after 8 months here, these have been the best 8 months of my entire career. And everybody tells me that it's like a honeymoon, but it looks like it's a very, very long honeymoon, and I'm still enjoying it at my day one. And over those 8 months, I have already interviewed about 70 people. So I conduct a lot of interviews, and I gained a little bit of experience of what people do of those interviews and what people ask us on those interviews. So I decided to put a couple of slides together where I try to address questions that I hear the most from the candidates. And on the next slide, I have information about what type of opportunities do we have here, what type of positions do we hire for. And as of now, we have two type of solution architect roles, and I will try to explain you the difference of those. The major and the most important role of the whole AWS organization, let me put it even that way, is the account solution architects. Those are people who know everything about their customers. They have a selected list of customers assigned to them. Some may have just a few, some may have a lot of them, but still it's a list of accounts that they work with, and they try to understand as much as possible what are the needs of those customers. And the job of solution architects is by knowing everything about the customer and by knowing everything about the platform, tailor those things together and propose the best possible solution for the customer. And we always say that our solution architects are customer advocates. So their job is to make sure that the customer is satisfied. And in case we cannot satisfy their needs with our own solutions, our solution architects have to propose to our customers some alternatives. So ultimately, their job is not to sell or to present in the best way our platform to customers. The job of solution architects is to make customers happy and to make customers satisfied. And in order to do that, they have to have really deep technical knowledge of the platform, and they have to have deep knowledge about the business and the platform of our customers and tailor those things together. We also encourage long-term relationship of our account solution architects with the customers, because the more you work with a certain customer, the better you know their needs, the better you know their platform, and the better you can serve those needs. By analogy, you can call account solution architects as general practice doctors or family doctors. You know, everybody wants to have a doctor that knows that person well and knows all their issues, potential needs, whatever, and help to make that person healthy. This is exactly what our account solution architects do. But sometimes general practice or family doctors have an issue that they cannot really solve because this issue requires some in-depth knowledge. And in this case, we have a second type of solution architects, which is called specialist solution architects. Those people also know pretty much the entire platform, but since the platform is really, really huge, you cannot know the entire platform at the depth knowledge. So they know the entire platform at 100, 200 level, so they know which services exist, what those services do, but they also have really, really depth knowledge of certain area. And we have various types of solution architects. They may either specialize by technology. So we have AI ML solution architects, or storage solution architects, or database solution architects, or security solution architects, or whatever. And those people know those technologies really, really well. Often they are in a deep contact with a service team that creates those services, so they know whom to ask for even much deeper services. They influence the development of those services further. We have also industry solution architects. Those are people who focus on certain types of customers. For example, we have gaming solution architects that know what it means to create a good game, knows the whole game development frameworks and platform, and work with game development companies to serve their needs better, because each industry has certain specialties. Or we can have startup solution architects that know what it means to develop a startup, a cloud-born company, a digital native company. Or we also have certain solution architects that specialize on a certain workload. For example, SAP. SAP is huge on AWS, and it requires certain knowledge how to do it best. And we have SAP solution architects for that, or migration solution architects. Those are people who help our enterprise, or not necessarily enterprise customers, to migrate their on-premises solution to cloud. And they've done it a lot already, and they know how to do it well. Those specialist solution architects are called by need. So for example, if an account solution architect has a specific question about storage or database that he or she cannot handle him or herself, they have a special mechanism how they request additional help from the specialist solution architects. They get into the project, they understand the situation, they help with this particular problem, and then they move on. So in this case, specialist solution architects are working with multiple customers in relatively short cycles. And you can call them like specialist doctors. So these are main two differences that we may have, and you may choose which one is better for you, where you want to develop. And they are more or less equal by seniority required, because it's rather about different type of knowledge, either really broad knowledge of the whole platform and ability to help certain customers, or deep knowledge in certain area and ability to help with issues related to that. On the next slide, I have a few notes about how solution architects can advance and develop their career. This is also a question that I often receive from the candidates. And let me split it into two dimensions. First is about how to develop yourself, and second, how to grow here. And obviously those things are linked together. In order to grow, you need to develop. And talking of development, there are three main areas how you can advance your capabilities. First is technological, growing deeper and broader in technology knowledge. And there is a race that you can never win, because the platform always grows, and grows really, really fast. And this is something that I was totally impressed with AWS once I joined, is the speed that AWS platform is developing, both in a broader way and in a deeper way. And this is a endless opportunity to develop yourself by growing your technological knowledge. Second way to develop yourself is by growing your impact, is by growing the ability to influence bigger and more important customer decisions, or communicate to more senior people, or to be able to impact a bigger amount of people through evangelism activities. And finally, the third dimension of development is soft skills. How you can become a better communicator, a better presenter, and there are many opportunities for all of those dimensions of development here. And Tomasz mentioned that about 20% of solution architects' time is dedicated to learning. And it may sound like we give a free day a week, but it's not a free day at all, because the requirements and the expectations of solution architects are constantly growing. And you have to spend this 1 day a week really, really wisely in order to maximize your development. And there are numerous opportunities to do that. There are so many internal courses, trainings, either online or face-to-face, conferences, our own conferences, or third-party conference that you can participate. So if you have a desire to learn, you will have to be very, very picky about choosing the right opportunities to use. Second, talking of growth, if you develop yourself really, really well, you have multiple opportunities to grow. First is when you can switch from one role to another. For example, on the previous slide, we described the difference between account sales and specialist sales. And you can switch back and forth between those. And it's really like a ladder. You can start as an account sales, then you decide that certain technology area is something that you're passionate about, and you can grow there deeper, and then you may focus just on this area. Or after you spend some time working with just some particular technology, you may decide, okay, now I want to go broader and I want not just help with some particular cases, but I want to help some customers long term. I want to have this journey with the customer, how I help them to advance their platform leveraging cloud technologies. And there are opportunities for that as well. You can also decide to move beyond just the SA function, and you can go to an evangelism job. There are quite a few evangelists at AWS as well, or to become a consultant and not just help customers to envision their architecture, but actually delivering for customers, or back. And we have multiple solution architects who came to us from the support organization, from ProServe organization, where all the consultants see it, from evangelism organization. And in those organizations, there are also many ex-solution architects. A second dimension of growth is direct growth, when you stay in the same role, like an account SA, but grow in your impact, and this is recognized by your seniority, and you can start as an associate SA and become an SA, then a senior SA, then principal SA, and it's also endless opportunity for you to grow staying in the same role. And finally, you may decide to switch from direct to indirect influence, and from an individual contributor solution architect, you may become a manager of managers, or, and those things also happen quite often at AWS, when you may move back from a management career to an individual contributor career, and switch back to helping customers yourself and directly. This is also very much rewarding. And what is also important to mention here, that all of those internal moves are very transparent and very welcome at AWS. You don't have to ask for approval if you want to move from one role to another. All the jobs are available for internal candidates, and you can just look for that and apply and have an interview, not as comprehensive as Tomasz described about hiring from externally, but still quite intense, I should say, interview, and after that you just move. And this is something that we very much encourage our people to do, because we believe that people have to have opportunity to grow and develop themselves the way they want. And finally, on my last slide, I want to address a few more questions that I often receive during the interviews from candidates. First, what are the possible locations? And Przemek, in his introductory speech, described what CE area is. Currently, we hire for the jobs in CE in Munich or in Warsaw, but very soon, this is not an announcement or promise or whatever, but hopefully soon we will be able to offer some more destinations for our positions. But as of now, it's Warsaw and Munich. Can I work from home? This is also something that we often hear, and here we have very flexible policy. We care about what we do to the customers, and we don't care how our SAs perform this job. They can do from wherever they want. The ultimate goal is to be able to serve their customers well and to be able to provide the right level of service. And then it's up to you and your manager to decide what is the optimal way to do that. Third, how much do I have to travel? This very much depends on the job and on your customer set. We want to do the best job for our customers. And if you can serve your customers remote, it's great. If your customer would require you to visit them on site, then we have to do that. So it really depends, and it may vary really much from 0 to 100%. But what is good here is that it's up to you to decide. Nobody would force you to do something that you don't want. And you may choose the level of travel that is fine with you and that suits your needs. Also here, I would mention that we have quite a few trainings, opportunities that are remote, and for those opportunities or like internal conferences, obviously you have to travel. But again, it's not like something that we force our people to do, but this is rather an opportunity that our people will pursue or not. Fourth question is a very important one, because we often hear that the candidates for solution architect roles consider those roles to be a pre-sale role. And this is something that is really, really important. And this is why I want to clarify this here. Solution architect role is not a pre-sale role. Their job is not to sell anything to our customers first. We want to make sure that our customers are happy and satisfied. And our solution architects are customer advocates. So often what happens is when our solution architects not increase the amount of money our customers pay to us, but actually do opposite. They help our customers to optimize their usage of AWS platform, so they start to pay less because of the job of the solution architect, then pay more. And this is very, very much important. We have our leadership principles, and those leadership principles are listed in order. And number one, the most important leadership principle that we have here is customer obsession. So first, we have to do what is better for the customer, and anything else falls apart. So this is the most important thing, and this is why it's not a pre-sale job at all. There is another reason why it's not a pre-sale job, because we live in this consumption economy world, and there is no point in time that you can call a sale here. We don't have this point of time when we sign a contract and then we give products and then we receive money back. No, it's a continuous journey and continuous engagement with the customer. And our solution architects work with customers before they start using AWS as much as they work with them after they use AWS, because they help them optimize architecture, develop it further, and it's really continuous engagement. Because of those two reasons, it's not a pre-sale job at all. It's really a solution architect role, and the name stands for it. Next question is also something that I get very often: how solution architects are measured. We have a long list of KPIs that we track, and some of those KPIs we put some goals. The solution architect job is quite complex, so there is no one ultimate measurement that we can use to say this solution architect is doing a great job and this one is not so great, because it's very multidimensional, and we need to get all those things together. When I answered the previous question, I explained to you that it's not a pre-sale job. So solution architects are not measured by the revenue. They are measured by the way their customers are satisfied. They are measured by the activities that they do for our customers. They are measured by the impact they have. So there are really like dozens of KPIs that we may track, and for some of them we may even put some goals, but there is no like a single metric that we may use, and no even single metric that we can put in front of solution architects as a target function. So here it's really complex, but quite transparent. We are data-driven company, so we collect all the data possible and then take this data to make those decisions. But not only data, we also believe as much as in data in anecdotal evidences of some particular examples of what our solution architects managed to achieve. And when we evaluate the work of our solution architects, we take all those things together. And finally, talking of the onboarding process, actually Tomasz did a great job in explaining that. I would just say, in addition, one particular thing. When new people join us, we give them fair amount of time, like 3 to 6 months, to onboard before they start working with customers. And since we hire people by their leadership principles, and one of those leadership principles that we have is bias for action, often those people from day one try to get engaged as fast as possible to work with customers to help them. And we have often to hold them back and say, no, don't rush. Take your time to learn, take your time to understand the culture, take your time to understand better the platform, the way we engage with customers. And thus our onboarding process is rather long, and we want to make sure that before our solution architects are in front of the customers, they are really, really well prepared. And this is where another leadership principle of ours helps us. I mean, insist on higher standards. We want to provide the best possible service to our customers, and this is why we want to make sure that our solution architects are ready to provide this level of service. So these are most often questions that I receive, but once we come closer to the end of this webinar, you will be able to ask more questions and we will be happy to answer them. With that, my part is over and I hand it over to Katrin.
Thank you, Sasha. Everyone, a few sentences about our recruitment process, and just as a way of introduction, my name is Katrin Dwir. I'm a senior recruiter at AWS. With the company for nearly 3 years, and still every day is day one, as we say at Amazon. So a great journey so far. And I'm based out of London, UK, which shows you, how global organization we actually are, where we have teams in so many countries across EMEA, and we also have recruitment sometimes based from different locations, but it doesn't stop us to actually support our business to grow. So moving to the next slide, I would like to tell you pretty much in a nutshell how our recruitment process looks like for a solutions architect position, what you can expect, what are the stages of the recruitment process, and also share a few hints and tips around preparation. So the first, usually the first interaction between a candidate and our company is a conversation and engagement with recruitment. Recruiters, they of course engage with active applicants, so candidates who are actively looking for a job, as well as we reach out to top talent individuals across the world, pretty much, to make sure that we reach to those who have the skill set that we are looking for, but of course would like to also join our company. So this first conversation is anything between 30 to 45 minutes, and we usually begin that conversation first of all with giving candidates or future candidates a good information, a good overview about what the position is, what is the main objective for the role, what is the team that the position is for, and of course what are the main expectations in terms of so-called functional expertise that we would be looking for. Then we usually try to understand the candidate's background. So we ask some questions about the technical and functional background of the candidate. We try to understand their motivation, and we also exercise questions around our leadership principles. And I will talk about why leadership principles are a part of our recruitment process in a moment. After this conversation, candidates are invited for a first formal interview, and this is usually a phone interview conducted by a hiring manager or somebody on the peer level who was in the same function as the position that you are being considered for. We have, depending on the team the position is for, we have either one or two phone interviews. In the team that we are talking about today, so for our CEE team, we exercise a 90 minutes one formal phone interview that is focus on two dimensions. So one is again the technical skill set. So the discussion is around technical skills that of course are required for the role, and they would be described normally in the job description. And then as I mentioned earlier, we also assess candidates against Amazon leadership principles. And I would like to explain why we do it. So as already Tomasz and Sasha mentioned, at Amazon, we have a set of our values, our corporate values. We call them Amazon leadership principles. We have 14 of those. And we already introduced those principles into the recruitment process. Why we do that? So one reason is because we would like to understand how candidates before joining our company, so in their current or past work experience, demonstrated same or similar values. As you already know, they're quite universal. There are things like customer obsession, think big, taking ownership, delivering results, etc. So you don't have to necessarily be part of our company to already showcase and operate along the same values. So we of course would like to see if candidates have certain experience from their professional background that they could demonstrate how they operate in this set of values. On the other hand, we would like candidates to be already exposed to those principles so they themselves can also see if they operate according to this kind of values, if they would like to work in a company, in a corporate culture that operates according this type of values, right? So it's supposed to work both ways. We would also like candidates to have a chance to understand what our values are, if they identify themselves with those values. So in order to conduct this assessment, we use a methodology of interviewing called competency-based interviewing model, and there is also a format, a technique called STAR that pretty much helps to answer this type of questions. And during the phone interview, the candidates will be already assessed against those two dimensions, so against their technical skill set as well as the leadership principles. So moving to the next slide. After the phone interview, successful candidates would be invited for a final interview step, and this is called an on-site interview, or how we say it also at Amazon, an on-site loop. So this is pretty much an invitation for one full day to one of our corporate offices. At the moment, for the CEE teams, we conduct those interviews either in Munich or in Warsaw. Of course, we invite candidates. We organize the logistics on our side. And also recruitment shares with candidates all the materials and information that are necessary to best prepare for this day. For the technical positions and also for the solutions architect role, there is a technical assignment that each candidate is requested to work on at home. And then during one of those on-site interviews, they will discuss what they prepared with a technical interviewer. So during that day, you can expect between 5 to 6 separate conversations, so one-on-one conversations with different interviewers. That would be the hiring manager, so you can have that personal interaction and meet that person that you would be working with in the future, as well as some future team members. But we have a quite diverse group of people who are conducting interviews. There might be future internal customers. They might be Amazonians from the wider organization, just to make sure that we bring different point of view to that interviewing panel. Now, each interview lasts between 45 to 60 minutes, and majority of that time spent in the office and those conversations would be discussing how you demonstrate the leadership principles. So that technical assessment part is still there, but most of the time the discussions will be around the leadership principles. So if we move forward, as I mentioned, candidates would receive materials to prepare, so they would know what our leadership principles are, what is the methodology that we are using, as well as what is the STAR model of answering the questions. But essentially, what this is all about is to be able to describe with quite a significant amount of details different scenarios, different real life cases and scenarios from your professional background that would pretty much show how you demonstrate the leadership principles. So out of 14 principles that we have, each candidate would be asked questions around some of them. You should, of course, ideally be able to prepare an answer or an example related to each of the principles, and then you will be asked to recall multiple scenarios related to your professional past, and phrase or structure your answer. So tell your story, pretty much describe that example using what is called STAR. So you would normally begin with a short description of what the situation was, what was the background. Then you would focus on specifically your task in this situation. So what were the objectives? What was your role? What was your goal? Then you would be expected to talk about your individual actions. So what actions have you specifically taken in that situation to work towards a successful outcome? And then finally, you will be expected to talk about the achieved result, as well as the learnings gained from that situation, or how you try to mitigate different actions implemented and challenges. And this is called STAR. The expectation would be that you frame your answer using that STAR framework. So again, ideally, the way to prepare is to read through those principles and be able to recall and to prepare those scenarios, those real life examples, and describe them to the interviewer. And now this is a discussion, and I guess this is important to mention. This is not type of question answer. We still would like this to be a discussion, so there will be a lot of follow-up questions. Some interviewers might be from the immediate, share immediate background. Some might be from a wider organization. So definitely the goal here is that they understand what the situation was when you describe it. You will, of course, be able also to ask your own questions, and we always encourage that. And if you see, Sasha shared actually a list of questions that are very frequently asked, but we encourage also candidates to ask questions during those interviews. And what we also encourage candidates to do, especially for the technical roles, is to, of course, visit our website, look at some free trainings and courses that we have. We also have them on our social media. If you want, you can already enroll in some of the certifications during the recruitment process, but it's not a must. But definitely following us on different social media, learning what was the latest we released, looking at our website, preparing on that AWS portfolio site is recommended. Again, we don't expect candidates to come already with hands-on AWS experience. So I guess that would be it from my side. And with that said, we would like to open a Q&A session. There is a question section. If you see, you can start typing your questions, and our leaders and myself will answer them. There is actually a question already related to Tomek's demo. So maybe I will read out the question, and I guess, Tomek, the question will be to you. So the question is, building such a POC in few hours is quite a challenge. Did you use some already existing models for image recognition? Is that already available in recognition service?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So in short, because yeah, I had only 3 hours, and my expertise in AI is not so, it's not 400. I wanted to use build, ready services. So the recognition service is like a built-in Lego block service, which is able to detect a different kind of things. You can put their images or videos, and it will detect a couple of different things. So it will detect that, what is on the picture, and also it will detect the celebrities. So it will detect celebrities from different countries, local, USA, and so on. So in short, I didn't need to build on my own model because it would take a lot of time and it would take a lot of money. And I was able to use ready solutions to quickly build a solution. And this was also one of the reasons why, in short, the customer really liked it, because I said that you have 3 hours and it's done. It's a small proof of concept, but in short, it was like, solving 95% of the customer requirements. So, so short answer is no, I didn't need to build my own model, just use existing services. And I would say that this is one of the coolest thing about, working as an SA, because, it's like playing with Lego blocks. You just, your objective is that you need to know that there is 160 different Lego blocks, and the customer is asking you, I want to build a castle, I want to build a car, what kind of Lego blocks should I use to build it in a cost-effective way, in the fastest way, in the best way? And then your Lego knowledge is important, because you need to know which those services to use to build the solution.
Thank you, Tomek. Another question is, are there expectations to work with AWS partners to address specific customer needs or requirements?
So maybe I will say something, and maybe Sasha can add something. So we have got, like Sasha said, we have got different kind of solution architects, like account solution architect, like a specialist solution architect. We also have got a partner solution architect. So whenever there is a person who want to become a solution architect, but he want to work closely with partners, then he can have this role, and then he's not working directly with our clients, but with partners. And they are those people, there are those companies which are coming and saying, we want to build something because our customer wants to do it. But also, like let's say an account solution architects are working closely with partners. It's like a normal situation that, like I said at the beginning, we are not building a solution. We won't build a solution for the client. I can build a small proof of concept. So, the customer will need to build it by himself, or if he doesn't know how to do it, if he doesn't have the right skills, there will be a partner. So very often our interactions with the clients is not like, two sides, as those are three companies. We, the partner company, and the client, and we are working, all together to, to solve the customer problem.
Okay, and another technical question is as follows. How deep programming skills do you expect for the solutions architect role?
This is a great question. So in short, I would say we don't expect. What we are looking for in SA, for a person who wants to become SA, is a broad knowledge. And IT today is so broad. There's like IoT, there's machine learning, there is development, there's big data, there is, I don't know, 20 different categories of areas, and development is just one of those. So, what we're looking for is during our interviews with the candidates, we're trying to figure out if the candidate has got already some skills in some of the parts. Because then we know that, our work will look like that, on Monday we're meeting with a startup and we need to talk about the development. But on Tuesday we are meeting with a bank and we are going to talk about security. On Thursday we are going to talk about analytics, and on Friday we are going to talk about IoT. So development, the coding skills are not required, especially because we don't code. I have got some skills, some background, so that's why I like to build some small proof of concept. But another SA from my team will prefer to do some kind of proof of concept with I don't know, with the databases. And there is no coding. I want to build some cool SQL query which will use one of our analytical platform services. So short answer is no, we don't require this. It's completely, if you know something, that's cool. The more IT things you know, the better. So and I would say this is the most important. If somebody has got knowledge only about one specific thing, because he was doing this for the last 20 years, it might be harder. I will be honest with you. If this person knows a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, then I would say this is an ideal candidate which we are looking for. But of course, also he won't know everything. It's not possible.
Okay, thank you, Tomasz. And we also have a few recruitment related questions and locations related questions. So I will try to address some of those, and then I guess Sasha or Przemek can add to it. So about the locations of the roles. So we touched based on that, but just to recap, at the moment we can offer the CE coverage positions to be based either out of Munich office or out of Warsaw. We do offer a relocation package, so we help to relocate to those locations. This is something that we handle, but at the moment these are two locations that we have in the CEE region where we can hire from. The next question is about offices being open or positions available in Romania and in Prague. So as Sasha mentioned, our company has plans to open offices in other CEE countries, among them also Czech Republic, Romania, and others. We cannot, however, announce or provide any deadline for those being open, but this is on the roadmap. So we would be hiring out of Munich and on Warsaw, and once we have local offices, of course, that would open up the opportunity to be based locally. I don't know if Sasha or Przemek, would you like to add something to my response to these questions?
So maybe, as you said, Katrin, we are working on opening several new offices in CE. Both Romania and Prague are on the very, very top. So Bucharest and Prague are on the very, very top of our priority list. We can't communicate the timeline. It's coming sort of sooner rather than later, and that's what we can disclose at this call.
Okay. There is a question also about the technical assignment during the on-site interview. So the question is it project-based or is it kind of multiple choice technical test? So I can answer, but I guess maybe Sasha or Tomasz, you can provide a more sufficient answer to this one.
Yeah, I can take it. So this is not a question and answer based. This is very close to real life assignment when you are put into a situation of helping a customer, and you need to provide a document that you will send as an outcome of your work to this imaginary customer, and we assess the outcome of that.
Okay. There is another question about locations. Since we have two or somebody wrote 3 cities, does it mean that everybody who joins AWS has to join one of these locations? So the answer is, if the position is covering CEE region, that means yes, unless somebody is currently living in Poland or in Warsaw or in Munich. Of course, they don't have to relocate. If you are based somewhere out of Poland or somewhere out of Germany already, then, as Sasha mentioned, there is some sort of flexibility on actually being physically in Munich or in Warsaw. But pretty much, if you join the team that is working on the CEE region, yes, that would mean that at this point you would relocate either to Germany, to Munich, or to Warsaw. So we have actually 1 more minute left, and I'm looking at the list of questions. There is a question about geography. So what kind of geography would an essay cover? What kind of customers, small, medium, or large?
I can handle that probably.
Yeah, okay.
So talking of geography, this is what Przemek presented at the beginning. Those are 17 countries of Central Eastern Europe. And talking of size of the customer, it really varies. It can go from very small to very large, and we help all kind of customers. And sometimes it can be really large customer, but their usage of AWS technologies may be fairly small at the beginning, and we still help them. Or it may be really, really small startup, but heavily dependent on AWS or heavily dependent on cloud, because they are digital natives and cloud-born companies. And obviously, we also help them very, very deeply. So all kinds of customers within those 17 geographies.
Great. Okay, so we've reached our time for this webinar. So thank you everybody for attending. This is the first in the hopefully many more in this series of careers at AWS. Thank you everybody for attending. You will receive a follow-up email with some information about how to stay in touch with us and also be considered for our job opportunities. And once again, thank you very much for your participation, and we hope you join this webinar. I will be closing this session right now. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.